Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we are going to discuss about situation of heat wave in Europe, which is affecting almost all the countries, especially of North and Western Europe. So in this particular video, we are going to discuss in details what do we understand by the weather phenomena, that is a heat wave, and what are the main factors and causes that is giving rise to such heat wave phenomena. So first of all, why this particular issue is news? Because recently, just even 2 months ago, the France have experienced the hottest May in its historical period, and in some cities even the temperature was more higher than the average temperature of the country. Similarly, last month also France was blistered again, and this time the reason behind the increasing temperature of the France was a spring heat wave that not only affected France but the nearby regions such as Spain, Italy and other countries. In the map side map, you can see here the region that is colored by red color is basically the region that is affected by heat wave currently. So you can say the main countries that is present here are United Kingdom, then we have Norway, Sweden, France, Germany, Spain, Italy and Greece. Then after this, not only that, even earlier the heat wave that was affecting the western part of Europe spreaded east, and now it is affecting even the Eastern European countries such as Poland, Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. Now temperatures across Europe are soaring yet again in the last 1 week, and especially from Spain to British Isle and spreading continuously toward the eastern region. So this heat wave not only has affected people by increasing the temperature but also has caused wildfires in the forest region of these countries. As the temperature increases, the forest fires become much more common all across the world. So this is another problem that European countries have to face right now. And apart from wildfire, in many regions the drought like situation is also expected to emerge as the heat wave keep on hammering this Western European countries. So first of all, let us try to understand what do we understand by the term heat wave. So as per the definition given by World Meteorological Organization, heat wave is considered as a period that is excessively hot in nature, and it can be accompanied by high humidity, especially in the countries which are having a maritime climate, oceanic climate. So this two hot weather and high humidity basically make it very oppressive for people to survive in this condition and live in these conditions, because if humidity is very high, that means the body's natural cooling mechanism, that is sweating, is not able to take place, and after sweating the evaporation does not take place. That is why the cooling of the body does not occur. Second, as far as the measurement of heat wave is concerned, it is a relative term. So it is relative to the usual weather in the given area where we are actually measuring the heat wave, and also it is measured related to the normal temperature that generally occurs in that particular season over that particular areas. So as per the recent study, it has been found that heat wave, especially in last 1 and 2 decades, has become much more intense, and this can be largely attributed to the climate change, especially the phenomena of global warming, that is a direct and indirect result of the industrialization. So what is the factors that are affecting the current or present heat wave scenario? So the first and most important factor, as we discussed, is the global warming, where due to the rise of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere as a direct result of industrialization and increase in the vehicular density in the world, we are witnessing average increase of 1.1 degrees Celsius in the global atmospheric temperature if you compare that with the pre-industrialization level in the somewhere late 19th century. However, the global warming is not the only factor. If you look at the heat wave like situation that is developing in the United Kingdom and the British Isles, what we see here is the main responsible factor for heat wave is the upper level low pressure air circulation that has stalled, or we can say that has been stagnated over some period of time around the coastline of Portugal. So it is not only the global warming but the upper atmospheric winds that is also contributing to the heat wave. So in this regard, some major observations have been made. The first important observation is that as far as the heat wave in Europe is concerned, it has both increased in frequency, that is the number of heat wave occurring in a per decade, as well as in the terms of intensity, that means how far the temperature is rising from the average temperature or normal temperature of that particular area in that particular season. And this trend has been observed since last 40 years, that is 4 decades, and largely this is the time when we can see very abundant increase in the we can say industrialization, as well as the increase in other sources, other avenue of global pollution. The second important factor contributing the heat wave is the change in the jet stream. So what changes we are witnessing in the jet stream? It is observed that temporarily whenever a heat wave like situation occurs, so before or preceding the heat wave like situation, jet streams in the European areas temporarily divide or split into two different streams. And as jet streams divide into two different streams, what happens between these two branches of jet streams? We are left with an area of weak winds and area of low pressure, area of high pressure air between these two branches, and these high pressure areas to some extent is responsible for heat wave itself. So this point, let us try to understand in more detail that what is jet streams and how does bifurcation can cause heat wave. So jet streams are basically a upper air atmospheric circulation which is found somewhere at the height of 8 to 10 kilometers in two regions of the atmosphere or two regions around the earth. The one jet stream is called as PJS, that is the polar jet streams, which is found around 60 to 65 degree of latitude both in the north and south hemisphere. Similarly, the other jet stream is called as subtropical westerly jet streams, that is observed around 30 degree to 35 degree again on both northern and south side of hemisphere. So as you can see from this particular figure, this violet line represents the jet stream, and as you can see, sometimes this violet line splits into two different lines, and in between these two branches of jet streams we have development of a high pressure area in the lower atmosphere, and this high pressure area basically that is developing in the lower atmosphere pulls up the strong winds, pulls up the hot winds from the nearby African region that can lead to heat wave like conditions. So this development of low pressure area in the upper atmosphere is also considered as cutoff low. The cutoff low region is a low pressure area that steadily draws air from the North Africa toward it, and thus since it is stationed around this coastline of Portugal, that is stationed around Europe. So basically what cutoff law is doing, it is extracting or it is drawing all the hot air from the equatorial region of Africa to these regions of northern and western Europe, which is the region behind the development of heat wave like condition. However, not only the global warming and the upper atmosphere circulation, but to some extent the ocean warming is also playing an important role in heat wave development. And in this regard, scientists have basically said that what we are seeing due to the global warming is that the Arctic region of the earth is warming at a much higher rate as compared to the other regions. And since Arctic is warming at much higher rate, what will happen? The temperature difference between the Arctic region near the polar areas and the equatorial region is becoming lesser and lesser. Thus what we can say is there is a decrease in temperature differential between Arctic region and the equatorial region. This decrease in temperature differential is somehow related with the decrease in the extent of summertime winds, and these summertime winds play a very important role because when these winds blow at very strong speed, they move the weather disturbances, weather system from one place to other place, and in the absence of this wind, or we can say in the case of low intensity of this wind, whatever weather system is developing around European region, they tend to linger there, they tend to stay there for a longer period of time. And that is why the heat wave like condition, which earlier used to happen for a few days and then it disappears, is not able to disappear today, is not able to move to some other regions because it has become stagnant as the summertime winds have decreased and declined in intensity. Not only that, there is one other factor in the ocean that is called as Atlantic overturning circulation. Atlantic overturning circulation is an ocean current that we can find in the Atlantic Ocean. So basically what happened near the equatorial area, since temperature is higher, the water become warmer. So as the water become warmer near the equatorial region in the Atlantic, they expand and tend to move on the surface toward the cold polar regions. However, in the polar areas, as the temperature is less, water becomes colder. As the water becomes colder, it becomes dense and heavy, and these waters start to sink toward the polar areas, and after sinking, this water below the surface start to move back toward the equatorial region. So this is the kind of a circular rotation of water that is happening in Atlantic. On the surface, the warm water is moving from equator to pole, and below the surface, the cold water is moving from pole toward the equator. This current is called as Atlantic overturning circulation. So what it is observed that as a direct result of global warming, we can see the weakening of the current. Again, the weakening of the current is related to the decline in the temperature gradient between the Arctic region and the equatorial region. So global warming is causing weakening of the current, and this weakening of the current is somehow responsible for the changes that is happening in the atmospheric circulation, because ocean and the atmosphere are closely interrelated with each other, and any changes in one can also cause other changes in the other. So the changes in atmospheric circulation is also related to the drier summer like conditions in Europe, and that is what can also be associated with the development of heat wave for a longer period of time and with much higher frequency. So what we can say about the future outlook of the heat wave in Europe? So as per the recent report, it is believed that first, if suppose heat wave has struck the European region, in that case, due to the strong heating of the ground surface, there is a drying of moisture in the soil. That means whatever moisture is present in the upper layer of soil, it start to evaporate and the soil becomes dry and cracked. Then in that case, if suppose in next time, what will happen when the summer time returns, when the sunlight returns back, as there is no moisture in the soil or very less moisture in the soil, there will be no evaporation. And since there is no evaporation, that means there cannot be condensation, there cannot be rainfall, there cannot be cloud formation, and thus there will be a less cooling effect in the next summer season. And if this process goes on for a long period of time, that means lesser and lesser soil moisture is available. That means lesser and lesser cooling we can feel or we can expect in the coming season of summer, and that is why this increases the likelihood of the next heat wave like situation. So it is kind of a positive cycle, positive feedback loop that we can understand is developing around this region, because one heat wave is increasing the chance of the next heat wave, and next heat wave will increase the chance of the other next heat wave, and that is how you can see the increase in frequency and intensity of the heat waves. So that is all about this story and the concept related to the heat waves in the European region. I hope you understood about this concept very well. That is all for today. Thank you very much.